Oh,
Scott, I'm not sure if it's just on my end, but I'm having some trouble hearing you.
me too.
Still nothing.
Me either. Are you still there?
What the heck? Hang on, guys. All right, now let me try this. Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I just have to
Oh.
make sure I'm hearing you on the right device. Okay, talk to me again, Jackie boy.
Hey, buddy, come in.
There
Can you
you are.
Can you see me?
No, I can't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you.
All right.
And I just tangled myself up. What do I got too many wires and cables and things going on.
I know. Carrie just gave me some extra ones. Okay, how about this?
Okay, I can see you as long as you can hear me. I see Kristen's logging back in, although I don't see a mic on for her yet.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't know what I had messed up, but I'm a little warm. All right. Boy, that just took us an extra 5 minutes to get started. Let's see. As I was starting to say, I usually start these meetings with a little ditty that goes kind of like, all of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. All right. I'm going to put that away. A couple things have gone on this week. I want to start off right off the top. I don't know if I've said this before while I was trying to get my sound on. We do not have a guest speaker tonight, featured speaker tonight. I've been reaching out to a couple people here and there. The one person that I've been trying to reach out to that I'd hoped to have on tonight, I haven't heard anything from. Actually got a little worried about them. Went and checked their one of their social media accounts that they're pretty usually active on, and I say that they haven't been active since April 30th. And like I say, I've followed up with another message to them through an email. Still haven't heard, so I am a little concerned. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they've moved away from activism, and hopefully it's not that they've come down with COVID and they're in the hospital on a ventilator or something crazy like that. The other person, though, I did have, if you were with us a week or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, if you were with us 2 weeks ago, Jill Swing was with us, and she is the president or director, I'm not sure how her title works, with the Compassionate Care Alliance. She had brought up during our conversation that night about how the ACLU South Carolina chapter is apparently active in some decriminalization efforts in some areas here in South Carolina. I don't remember exactly where she said. For some reason, I think she said Columbia and Greenville, and a third location, which I don't know if it was Myrtle Beach. None of the places that were mentioned were Charleston. So I have reached out to the directorate.
Uh-oh, lost your audio again.
No.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
There's a button on the wire, and I keep leaning against it with my fat belly, and it keeps muting me. That's
I
what's
can
going
relate.
on here. I'm muting myself. I'm going to try and hang that button on the back of my neck and see if I'm seeing your face, and I'm going, uh-oh, something's going wrong here. Jackie can't hear me. Yeah, I caught the timeout. That was it. Anyway, I'm not sure where you lost me at, but I was inviting the director of the ACLU South Carolina chapter on to speak with us about whatever their activities are going on with their decriminalization efforts here in South Carolina. I'm really clueless. I don't know what's going on with them. I do know that back on April 20th this year, National ACLU released their racial disparity report on marijuana arrests in the nation, or I don't know if it had to do with all drug arrests, but it really highlighted how many people are arrested uh, for marijuana, the racial disparity in those arrests, how South Carolina is number 2 in marijuana possession arrests, um, how some of our counties are as high as 7 or 8 times more likely to be arrested for possession if you're a person of color than if you're a white person. Um, we've got issues to deal with here in South Carolina. I'm hoping that, although I know I see the ACLU post about a variety of different subjects that they talk about and they speak on it, they advocate for. Um, since April, at least, they've been definitely vocal and supportive of reforming marijuana laws. And if there's any effort that they're doing that we can collaborate with them on to work on an effort here in Charleston, um, I'd like to look into that a little bit more with them. I don't have a date. It's either going to be next Sunday or the Sunday after that they will be on with us. It's going to be their director and another person. I'd have to go check my email. I think it was like their, let me go find it. They wanted to bring in one of their organizers. I guess that's going to come in. Basically, he'll be able to discuss the issue. She'll be able to discuss what their activities and organizing are behind that effort. So that should be some interesting conversation. It will either be again next Sunday or the following Sunday. Another thing I've seen this week was Janelle Ralph from Compassionate SC. Janelle was very played a big part in the legalization of the hemp and the CBD. She and Jill Swing are very fought together for a lot of the CBD legalization here in the state. But she runs her own organization, Compassionate SC. She also runs and owns Palmetto Harmony CBD hemp oil company, which many of you may have heard of. I've seen her posting a little bit in this past week about, I guess, petitioning the legislature or new legislation to increase the THC level in hemp and CBD products from 0.3% to 1%. And with that, what I think I'm going to also do is put that on my checklist here to reach out to Janelle, invite her on, or one of the spokespeople from her organization see if we can have them come in and talk to us a little bit more about their efforts in that line. Um, there is a difference between hemp and medical marijuana, um, but I believe there are other states that are using that 1% number in their hemp and their CBD products. Um, and it seems to make sense, at least from an efficacy value, consideration and standpoint. That little bit of extra THC really makes the other cannabinoids in the plant much more beneficial to our systems. Um,
Isn't federal law 0.9%?
I couldn't quote that. I know I heard somewhere that it was 0.9% in the field, but 0.3% in
Drive.
product to be sold to the public. I don't even
Right.
remember where I got that information. And so I can't be one to really speak directly to that. Um, and another reason why I'd like to maybe have Janelle or one of her spokespeople come in and kind of enlighten me, um, see what we can find out, and again, see if there's way we can collaborate our efforts together. Um, some other stuff, and I want to get it in on this conversation because I did speak with it. I speak about it with some of our board members this week, and it has been in the normal news. There was a chapter in Massachusetts, Mass Can Normal. It came to our attention, came to my attention last Tuesday in a meeting with National, but apparently there were some people that knew about this a little earlier on, that there were some board members in that particular chapter that were also affiliated with some groups that don't necessarily align with our culture, with our uh, rules and bylaws, um, of inclusiveness, of fighting for civil rights for everybody. They have been disaffiliated, although they did take some steps, and one of the members did resign. I believe there was another one that had some again questionable or unsatisfactory behaviors, which would, in National's opinion, would bring bad light to our organization. Is not the way we operate. And the chapter refused to take corrective steps to prevent this from happening in the future and that type of thing. And for those reasons, they have been disaffiliated. Um, Interestingly enough, their structure of their organization was set up very similar how our structure is. It's an older structure that Normal was using, where members would vote on board members. um, that's actually been changed, and so I'll have to check my folder with National, but I should have a sample of some new bylaws coming in, and also some other uh, stipulations for any type of board members, as far as um, what's a code of conduct type things. Um, uh, So anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring that out in the open because, again, our organization is all about civil rights, and when I talk civil rights, I mean for all American citizens. Um, and as many of us know, the marijuana laws were started with racial bias. They were extended in the Nixon administration with racial bias, um, and I think pretty much every step of the way. Um, so we definitely will uh, pledge allegiance. I think, as I put it on our banner the other day, with anti-minority groups that have been disproportionately affected by cannabis prohibition, and like I say, keep moving forward. We are not doing this just for one particular group or another. This is for all citizens. Um, and especially for those citizens that have been most adversely affected by the most I can't even say it, most adversely affected by cannabis prohibition. So that's who we're there for. Um, I don't know if I've ever necessarily said it on this meeting. I know I don't even know if I've said it on any of our normal meetings. I've never been arrested for marijuana. Why I'm fighting for this so hard? It's not because I had it happen to me personally. Um, Maybe it's because I don't want it to eventually happen to me personally, but I've seen it happen to so many other people. I just think it's wrong on a civil liberty, civil rights basis. And so that's why I do it. I don't have anybody in the family that's sick and needs medical marijuana, although maybe I do, and they're and I'm just not really that aware. I may need it, and through my hemp and CBD, I found some relief with some things. Um, so there's that. There's the medical rights as we talk about national. This should be an issue where doctors decide if you're having it for medical reasons, not legislators, not law enforcement. Um, before I move on from this, any comments, any input from our guest tonight on that particular subject?
I'd like to go on to say that it should be a right because of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness written into our Constitution.
I think those three words encompass everything that legalizing marijuana can give us. It helps people with their life. It benefits, it gives us, life benefits. The liberty to be able to choose how we medicate or intoxicate, if you will, with recreational use. Um, and yeah, you just say the word cannabis or marijuana around me, and it puts a smile on my face. So there's the pursuit of happiness right there. Uh, yes, absolutely, I agree with you on that. And with that, it's said, and with a lot of the current events going on, with protests, with calls for criminal justice reform, with calls for defunding law enforcement or reforming law enforcement, which has been called for a long time. There's been some interesting news, I think, to me anyway. We talked about it the first week we were on, and that was the decriminalization ordinance for uh, Myrtle Beach. I haven't heard any movement on it lately, but you'll see some things on either our Facebook page coming up or has already been posted recently um, about that particular case. Matter of fact, at 8 o'clock tonight, you'll see a blast come out to all of our social media, or at least our three main Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Um, a video of Attorney Johnny McCoy uh, talking about the Myrtle Beach police corruption. And he also then, in the end of that conversation, talks about his decriminalization bill in Myrtle Beach. So you'll see that come out at 8 o'clock this evening. Um, with some of that going on in Myrtle Beach, I've probably told a few of you this, but I have this little bit of an obsession of going on to YouTube and watching like First Amendment audits. Um, and with that, I decided to go on and see what I could find on YouTube about Julian Benton and his case against Myrtle Beach Police and the $11.25 million that he's received from the taxpayers, not necessarily from the police. To see again what is out there on the YouTube world. Some very interesting information. There is. I listened to one this afternoon that was testimony during the case. The case was actually heard in Virginia outside of the South Carolina jurisdiction. Um, and it talks about how the Myrtle Beach police, I think the judges talked about them lying, and the defense attorneys for the police department would not acknowledge lying, just happened to mention, oh, shoot, what was the word they used? Like misinformation or, yeah, not that they lied on purpose. They're trying to get it that they got it wrong, in their interpretation. Um, where they mentioned that in the testimony that multiple times the police knocked and identified themselves as police, and yet apparently it I somewhere in what I was watching talks about someone dropping off this DVR to Johnny McCoy's office, no cords or anything attached to it, just saying, here, you'll want to like see what's inside this box. And then it was 12 seconds of the SWAT team actually smashing down the door. There was no time in there for them to ever have knocked and announced themselves and given the occupant a chance to answer the door. Um, and the other interesting thing I found about a lot of that was there's body cam footage, but there is absolutely they never turned on their body cams until after they shot the man 9 times, shot at him 29 times, struck him 9 times, and then they decided to turn on their body cams. Um, uh, so that way they can go, oh yeah, yeah, we knocked, we identified themselves, and they, you listen to the testimony, and then you listen to or see that little bit of video, and then you later on listen to some of the other testimony, and you're going, uh, there's no truth to anything that they're saying, and yet in the end, no one there has ever apologized, never admitted any wrongdoing. Um, and I look, dwelling into this, it all started because they pulled over a woman for a broken tail light, found a little bit of marijuana in her car, used her as an informant so that she wouldn't get charged for this little bit of a marijuana. As an informant, gave her $100 to go and buy some marijuana, and this guy like knew this woman only because it was a friend of his wife, and knew that she was having some hard times and rough times, and said, "Look, okay, I'll get you some here, give you a little bit," and gave her about a quarter of an ounce. Apparently, their video cameras or whatever weren't operating properly, so they couldn't get a warrant on that particular one. So they sent her back a few weeks later with another $100. Got some video. That's what got them their warrant. Um, Taking advantage of this poor woman over a broken taillight, and then shooting this man permanently disabled in a wheelchair over $100 worth of marijuana. Um, Completely just blowing my mind. Uh, um, I was really kind of hoping that we would have Johnny McCoy online with us one of these weeks. I will reach out to him again, see if we can get him to come on and talk to about what's going on there. Um, but like I said, watch at 8 o'clock tonight. Our social media channels will pop out about a 10-minute, I think, video of him. Might be 20 minutes. Um, Talking about the case, talking about the corruption in Myrtle Beach Police Department, Horry County, and actually they're the part of their task force, Georgetown County. Um, and it's just kind of mind blowing. Like I say, it cost the taxpayers over $11 million, and that's just in the settlements. That's not in the process of actually going to court. There's probably $1 million worth of attorney's fees involved in there, sending attorneys to court and up to Virginia and transportation, and who knows what they cost the taxpayer for $100. And then this man and his permanent disability. Um, so it just ramps me up even more to kind of keep moving forward with this and see what we can do. I don't mean to come on here and sound like some sort of anti-police person. Uh, I guess when I stand back and kind of look at it, though, for the most part, it sounds that way. I am anti-bad police, and if a good policeman covers for a bad policeman, then that is not a good policeman. Um, when I do hear about good policemen, as a matter of fact, in this Julian Benton case, the one good policeman was deemed a whistleblower and no longer works for law enforcement. Um, the good ones they get rid of. They don't want people that think for themselves. They want order takers. And as Johnny McCoy mentions in the video, I think it was this particular video, it's systematic. Oh no, it was back in one of the trials that I was listening to on this. Um, the same sort of thing happened, and I believe it was a case deemed Cooper. I'll have to go back and listen to that testimony. It's something else I want to share. Um, and the other thing, I probably shared it earlier today. There is a podcast called Knock and Announce all about this case. It's about a 35-minute podcast. And again, I did share that on our Facebook page. I will do a blast of that later. But all very interesting information on this case out of Horry County. Let me pronounce that correctly here as a transplanted South Carolinian. Um, and I have not reached out to Mr. Benton at all. I don't feel that would probably be appropriate at this point. We've reached out, to his attorney. Um, and it is interesting listening on the podcast. He is interviewed on the podcast. You get to hear him and some of his point of view and position on it. He doesn't talk necessarily about the decriminalization aspect, but I'm hoping that by talking about this case more, this is still a fresh case. Although it happened 5 years ago, the findings and the settlements are relatively recent. 5 years? I don't think it was 3 years ago. I think it was 5 years. And the settlements that are coming in are relatively recent. And so we want to kind of try and take advantage, if we can, of stories like this, of what's going on with the public and the protests and the local, the current environment, should I say, of police accountability. And I don't know exactly what we can do to help Myrtle Beach. I mean, if we're not a resident and a voter in Myrtle Beach, calling their city council and telling them that we think they should move forward with this may not have any effect. The lawyer has asked for any documentation or information or statistics that people can pass on to him that relate to, and I don't have the document in front of me, so I can't be certain, but basically, law enforcement officer retention was one of the things that he was concerned about. Apparently, he does. I'm guessing law enforcement's afraid that if they decriminalize, they're going to lose staff, and they don't want any of their people getting laid off. That was one of them. What was one of the others? It was things that were related to that, not what we generally hear people advocating about, that it's healthy or that it's medical or that it's less dangerous than alcohol. That's not what they want to hear. They only want to fight this on statistics relating to crime in the area. Did crime go up or down with decriminalization? Did police keep their jobs with decriminalization? And things along that nature.
Sirens, hundreds of sirens. Okay.
Excuse me. And I'm hoping, let me look here at my time. I'm hoping that with some of this momentum, we can move some of that forward again. I will reach out to Johnny McCoy and see if we can get him to come on and speak with us one of these Sundays as well. If any of you have any ideas of folks that we can invite, don't ask me to invite the chief of SLED. I don't want to hear his side of the conversation. I blanked for a second. I forgot Mark Keel's name. Can you believe that? But yeah, don't invite Mark. I'm really not interested in hearing his side of the conversation. He's pretty much let us know how he feels about it. Like I said, Janelle, and if there's any other groups we can think of, there are a couple people. There is I don't know how active it is, but an upstate normal had started a while iffy-ish. There is a Myrtle Beach normal. I actually just got to speak with their founder director last week. I was again hoping he'd be on the phone with us tonight. I'm going to talk to him a little bit about what we can do to help Myrtle Beach in their decrim process. As far as the local initiative, I do want to kind of start opening up our petitions again, but I'm not done cleaning up our website. And see if we can work more locally on the Charleston City ones. Our Folly Beach ones, I'm gonna say we're gonna have to put it on hold again until after tourist season because the island is just swamped with tourists. I forget who I spoke with the other day, and they said, "Yeah, we happened to go down to the beach, and all we saw was out-of-state plates," um, which I didn't realize a lot of them were. I mean, I know a lot of folks from other areas in South Carolina come in too, but yeah, we're just kind of being inundated. Uh, down on Folly that I think it's going to make it impossible to even really go back and try and collect those signatures. The petitions we did have out there, I think one or two of them have evaporated. I don't know where they are. Um, so we lost like maybe 3 signatures on those 2 petitions. So that's not a big deal. And I know who a couple of the people are. We'll go get them back. But my guess on that, and Jackie, you may concur with me on this, would be to put it off until at least October, November, once the tourists kind of go home.
Well, if it's got to be a signed thing, we got to wait till the virus is over, I think.
Well, that's true too. That's true too, because, well, not necessarily if we can work around it where they can sign it, like download it themselves.
Yeah, that
And
would work.
like if they, good example, let's say, somebody and their wife both wanted to sign, they could download 2. The wife could collect the husband's signature and the husband could collect the wife's signature, only because I recently learned you can't sign your own petition if you're the collector. So,
Wow.
so one person would have to sign the back affidavit as the collector and the other person would sign the front as the signator or whatever.
And that's number 1.
And yeah, and that's the first one on their list. If there's anybody else in the house that can sign their list, that'd be great. If they can, get a neighbor to sign without too much contact or whatever, that's great. And then mail them back to us. And that way we can collect physical signatures. I don't think we're going to get any kind of judgment here in the state for us to be able to collect digital signatures. The finding that was up in Ohio has been challenged. I'm not sure where they are with that, but they were told they were allowed to collect digital signatures, and now it seems like they're backpedaling on that.
Well, they'll always tell you they're fake signatures, and you know how it is. The counter people don't want it, so you hand them the information, and they say this is no good. You know how they do it every time.
Well, it's the voter registration board that's the one that's supposed to check off whether they're valid signatures or not. If they're
Well,
going in there with a bias, they're not allowed to. They're
Well,
breaking the law.
I think America should go change the vote to either mail or computer. We can't go to vote when we're all going to get sick if we go vote. So something's got to change really major.
Yeah, well, you say that, but on the flip side, I'm hearing legislators, I don't think it was South Carolina, but legislators saying, we have to limit the number of write and mail-in votes. We have to limit the number of absentee voters. We have to limit. They want to limit your ability to put in your vote. So
Well, they're
although
going
I
to
agree
try.
with you, if I
Yeah,
can do all these other things online or through the mail, I should be able to vote as well.
and sign a petition. I agree with. I think that it all should be able to done online, and we could do it. We would know who's president and how many people signed the petition by before after supper time.
Yep.
Oh,
There's got to be a better way than the way they do it. But then again, they have to have that electoral college in between there to sway whatever they want.
yeah.
Well, hold it. The popular vote says, yeah, electoral vote.
Oh Lord. I mean, how
So
many times?
anyway,
Yeah.
that's getting a little sidetracked off the marijuana conversation for tonight. I appreciate that.
No, I'd just like to say that Folly would have probably been the best place to start for the legalization of marijuana, because it was such a bohemian place for 30 years. It's just been in the last decade that it's been gentrified. So still a chance. There's still a
And there's
chance.
still a chance that Folly, there's still a chance that Folly will be the first one that we get to decriminalize.
That's right.
Because part of what's going on with the work that they're doing in Myrtle Beach is it's not a no fine, no time ordinance like we're looking to do. So as we call that partial decriminalization, because they're going to pull you over. They call, I guess, a blue ticket or something like that. I heard McCoy talking about, and they write you a citation and you pay a fine. And, it might be $100, but I mean, you're still basically going to be incorporated into the system somehow or another. You're going to have that ticket. There's still going to be, fees and blah, blah, blah. It should be no fine, no time, decriminalization. And that's what we're pushing for. So, uh, I really wish them well in Myrtle. I hope they pass it. I think it's a good step. Um, I don't think it goes far enough. I don't think decriminalization at a municipal level goes far enough, but it's what we've got. Um, so I'm not going to ramble on too much more about it. We're going to, again, keep shoveling forward and trying to come up with some sort of method to get these petitions out there again. Um, Based on, and I hate to say it, but I've got some, friends here with me, and I don't care who's watching us later on YouTube. Based on the attendance of a couple of these meetings for the past few weeks, and on the attendance that I get on my regular meetings with Normal once a month for the past 3.5 years or whatever, um, I'm really apprehensive to try and target a county level petition. That's going to be, we rough guessed at over 50,000 signatures. Uh, and if we're struggling for this long to get 400 just from Folly Beach, I don't see any real reality of getting 50,000 when I'm struggling to get more than 3 or 4 people to even come online with me and talk about this. Um, and I've direct messaged a couple of other people that are active, and they just, I don't know. Um, so a
They're
lot of it.
scared because they're 50 years of being paralyzed by,
Oh
you
no,
know,
the people I've asked, they're not scared. They're preoccupied. They've been on it a couple times here or
oh,
there for a
well,
half of
that's
one.
good. Well, that's
Um,
good.
but what it is people have their lives, and apparently this is not as much of an obsession to other people as it is for me. I'm obsessed. My wife will tell you. I want to change these laws, and I'm frustrated. I don't know exactly how to go about it. Uh, but anyway, I think we need to forget about trying to go at a county level at this point, just because I'm not seeing um, the support rally around the effort. And I've been like I mentioned, Jackie, Kristen, I've been working at this for quite a while. I try to do something to rally the troops. I'm not sure if it's bad leadership or empathy on the community's part, or not empathy. What's the word I'm looking for?
Apathy?
Apathy. Thank you.
Yeah,
It was
that's it.
close.
That's
Empathy's a little bit different. Yeah, the apathy on the community's part of like going, it's been like this so long, just eh, you know, and I've got to make supper tonight, or I don't know. Um, So I will, like I say, continue these every week. I've got them on my schedule till the end of the year. My poor wife won't be able to go out anywhere for a walk on a Sunday night because she knows I'm going to want to be here. Uh, and but we'll be back here again next Sunday, same time, Sunday at 7 p.m. I hope you all log in with me. If you have any ideas that you want to bring along to the table, please do. Again, I'm not certain, so watch our social media. It may be next Sunday that we will have the director of the ACLU South Carolina with us, or maybe the following week. Um, I will try my best to make a blast on all 3 of our main media sources, social media sources, on what that date is. And as we move ahead, as we start hopefully having other guests come on, um, I'll try to give some advance notice of that so folks hopefully are inspired to come and join us and sit and listen in. Um, backpedal a little bit on that real quick. I know I said I was going to let you go. Um, we did share a webinar that went on this past Wednesday and it was like the 7 steps of advocacy for cannabis or something like that. And it said like join now live event. Well, if you go back and find that and click on that link, it's actually pre-recorded. It's recorded. I may have also shared it another time. Um, but in there to me was a very interesting segment. Went from like 6 minutes and 20 seconds to 13 minutes and 50 seconds. They asked Keith Stroop, the founder of NORML, why he started NORML and why did he devote his life and his organization to to cannabis advocacy. And he talks about it a little bit, how he got started with it. And I mean, to me, when he started this stuff, I was probably, 7 years old or something like that. And, but it was during, the 60s. It was during that civil rights era. And of course, as soon as like civil rights moved forward, Nixon comes in and quashes a hell of a lot of that stuff. But, it was very interesting to me. And the webinar itself was pretty informative. It's a free webinar. And like I say, you could be able to scroll through our Facebook page and be able to find a link for that. And also, the other thing, real quick, based on related to that webinar, we have been promoting a new cannabis advocacy program that is been put together by Green Flower Media. There is a fee for it for the general public, $97. It's a 10-hour course that you take online and get a certification in being a cannabis advocate. I'm doing it. I'll hang it on next to my other certificate back here, my Cannabis Fundamentals certificate. So I'm working on getting cannabis certificates hanging on my wall. That's it for me. I want to thank you for joining me. Any last minute questions or comments?
Thanks for what you're doing, Scott.
You know it, buddy. I'm all about that. So I hope to see you back here again next week, and along with all of our viewers that are maybe watching later on YouTube. Don't forget, visit our website, normalsc.org. That's NORMLSC.org. That's it for me. Good night, all.
Thanks, Scott. See you next week.
Thanks.